social media is their reality.
Yeah, if I'm feeling down, then I'll look on those things and they'll just make it worse.
They have designed their algorithms and their networks exactly to cater to human pathology in its most extreme forms.
I originally set out to make a documentary that explored the possible positive benefits of diminished or controlled social media use. What I actually uncovered was something far, far darker.
Australian government causing death and disability with mandatory vaccination policies. I did an interview with an Australian media platform in Melbourne this week as well, actually on the same day I did the Israeli one. And one of the things I was talking about was what it says about freedom in Australia, that you have a situation where the government has imposed restrictions on government benefits to people who won't have their children vaccinated. No jab, no pay. And this is targeting the poorest people who need those benefits, not least for their children, so to force them to accept the vaccinations they don't really want for their kids. Now that is fascism, for me. It's my view. And it's worked. A lot of more people are having their children vaccinated because they can't afford to lose the benefits. That's fascism. And at the same time, a lot of people might not know this around the world, but the Australian government has a law that makes it illegal not to vote in an election. As if one option in a so-called democratic election is to say none of the above, I'm not voting because I don't support any of you. No, you've got to vote for someone. Otherwise, you're breaking the law. And you'll have people in Australia who'll say, yeah, I live in a free country. No, you don't. Not when those two things can happen, you don't. And the idea, of course, with the cutting back benefits is just a stepping stone to making it mandatory for everybody. It's what they want around the world. So this is what the story says. The result of this manipulation of benefits to force people into having their children vaccinated has created, as the headline says, death and disability among people who have reacted to the vaccinations. And there's an article on davidicke.com with that headline, and it's written by a lady called Judy Wileman, or Williman. And she is someone who has been investigating this for a long time. And she says some very, very interesting things about vaccinations and how the media and the government are suppressing the real consequences for so many of vaccinations. And it's a very interesting article. And she also talks about how she has presented evidence, because she was an academic, about the impact of vaccines. And basically, it's just been utterly ignored. And it's like I say, it's a very, very good article and very worth reading in terms of the content. Now, in the same subject area, this push for mandatory vaccinations, part of it is a war on those who are against vaccinations. They've called it the anti-vax movement. And here we have now this week the World Health Organization, which is another asset of the web that represents the pharmaceutical industry, they have said that the anti-vax movement, as they call it, is among the top threats to global health, HIV and Ebola. The anti-vaccination trend has landed next to HIV and Ebola as a key global threat. According to the World Health Organization, experts say vaccination hesitancy or vaccine hesitancy risks reversing progress in fighting preventable diseases. And again, this is the party line of the pharmaceutical industry, and thus it's the party line of the World Health Organization. Look at my son Jamie now. What is he? 26, 6'5", strapping lad. Never had a vaccine in his life. Never had a childhood disease. His mates did, but he didn't. His vaccinated mates did. And when you break it down, the idea that you deluge, and my God, it's deluge these days, a still forming immune system with this unbelievable number of vaccines, many at the same time, the idea that is going to have anything but a devastating effect on the immune system, which will be overwhelmed trying to cope with that shite, is the realm of madness. And so there's this war now on the anti-vax movement. Another story from this week: anti-vaxxers spread misinformation on social media. Half of all parents with small children have been exposed to misinformation, i.e. not what the authorities want you to believe, about vaccines on social media, according to a new report that finds the most common reason not to vaccinate is fear of side effects. Well, clearly there are side effects because of all the massive number of vaccine-damaged children there have been since vaccines started. But it's not just about having a vaccine or series of vaccines and then immediately showing the consequences so blatantly that they actually have to pay you compensation. It's not just about that. And a child brain damaged for life, etc. Physically damaged for life. That's all horrible, but it's not just about that. It's about once you undermine a developing immune system, then it's never going to be as powerful as and effective for the rest of that child's life as it would be without that damage and that undermining. And that is the insidious ongoing effect of vaccines that is not talked about in the mainstream at all. The fact that a child can eventually have some kind of disease or problem that kills the child, maybe. Not just as a child, but as an adult, with something that its devastated, distorted, ineffective immune system would normally cope with. I mean, look at cancer. The immune system is dealing with rogue cells all the time. And while you've got a strong immune system, your chances of having cancer are massively negated. Once your immune system starts to fall, then it can become overwhelmed.